everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far and that your day continues to get better. So I thought I would do a two-part series on getting older, aging, retirement, and what it's like for us after we leave a career and we step into retirement as we age, and the way we see ourselves, the way we feel about ourselves, and what we imagine our future to be. So I'm going to try to film this in two parts because I have so much to say and I have a bunch of notes, and I'm going to try to stay on track. But I know that this video will be way too long if I try to say all the things that are going on up here in my head. So we're going to do it in two parts. And first of all, I want to welcome anybody that's new to my channel. This is a very new YouTube channel. It is a lifestyle channel. I like to talk about things for women over 60, aging, beauty, health, and wellness, and travel. My husband and I have an RV and we love to travel in it. And so I love to bring content like that to my channel. And just the everyday life, what it's like day to day. You're not going to see a lot of hauls of clothing or makeup or excessive products or anything like that. I live a very simple life in retirement, and we live on a budget. And so what you're going to see from me is just real life practical stuff. So with that said, if you're new here, welcome. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and like the videos. I do try to put out some shorts, and I'm working on trying to get some long content out there as well. And I'd love for you to comment on anything that you see or hear here, or anything that you would like to add and contribute to this community that we're trying to build. So let's get into it. Okay, so one of the first things I think happens sometimes with some women, and not all of us are the same, and so it's going to be a little different for each one of us. But for a lot of us, we had a thriving career, we were busy, we had a lot of responsibility, and we were really good at our jobs. And as you know, jobs and careers can really define who we are sometimes, the person that we are, and then you lose that identity sometimes when you retire. And then you're sort of left with not really sure how to reinvent yourself in retirement. And I think that for a lot of women, you can start to feel, and your world can start to feel very small, and you feel like you're sort of shrinking, or that you're being left behind. Maybe a lot of your colleagues are still working, or still in the workforce. They're still in the hustle and the bustle and the grind and climbing the ladder and doing a lot of exciting things in their career. And now you find yourself out of the loop and not really sure what you're going to do moving forward. So I'm hoping that we can go through a few things that might help you as you go into this second part of your life, just like I did. So what I found as I retired is that my life got a lot quieter. I was a registered nurse. I worked in the cardiovascular ICU. I did open heart recovery. I worked in the cath lab and the OR. And a lot of that time was spent on call, carrying a beeper, a pager back then, and being on call and having to arrive at the hospital for a life-threatening emergency, normally a heart attack or myocardial infarction or something of that nature. And my career was very busy. We did 12-hour shifts most of the time that sometimes turned into 14 and 16-hour shifts. And it was go, go, go. And I like the thing that the Grinch that stole Christmas, he would always say, the noise, the noise, the noise. And that's how I felt a lot of times during my career. If you have ever been, or if you are a nurse, or you know a little bit about what it's like working in high demanding, hypervigilant state of being all the time, the alarms, the beepers, the pagers, the IV pumps, the heart monitors, the oxygen monitors, the dialysis machines, anything that we had going on in the ICU, everything had an alarm, and all the alarms needed to be addressed. And it was a constant noise, noise, noise. And I remember many times going home and dreaming all night long about my job, and dreaming about the noise and the beepers and the pagers and all of the chaos that was involved in my job. And you may be able to relate to that, or you may be able to relate to it in a different career field where you were under high pressure, was very intense, time restraints, time crunches, demand, demand, demand. And now here we are in retirement, and everything is very quiet. There's not as much going on around us as far as noise and chaos. And we're trying to adjust to that. And we're trying to now make a new life, putting all of that behind us. And I think that for a lot of us, it's, I like to think of it as the shouting stops and now the whispering begins. Things start to get whispered into our brains and into our mind as we go into this second part of our retirement and aging and getting older. And for a lot of us, turning 60 or going into our 60s equals retirement. For a lot of people, they retire earlier, like my husband and I, we did retire earlier. And so I've had a few years of working my way through this phase in my life. But for a lot of other people, retirement is coming around mid-60s, 65, 67, and on into their 70s. And so there's a lot. So for a lot of us, like I said, that can become a quiet world. It can be a world that feels like it's shrinking, a world that feels like we're being left behind. So the word quiet interests me quite a bit. So I looked it up, and I had the definition pulled up here on my computer. And the definition of quiet is making little or no noise, carrying out discreetly, secretly, or in moderation, the absence of noise or bustle, silence, calm, make or become silent, calm, or still. And the reason that resonates with me is because, as I spoke before, my career was this loud, always in my head noise. And now I find myself in retirement, it's quiet. And okay, so I realized I didn't have my microphone on, and I wanted to make sure that you would be able to hear me. So I did stop for a second to do that. So we were talking about quiet, and the reason that I find it so interesting, and it's primarily because of just a few words. It's the calm, it's the still. What I like about it is the calmness and the stillness, and not necessarily so much the calmness and stillness in your body, but the calm stillness in your mind. For me, I had a sense of relief after I retired. I felt relieved that I didn't have someone's life in my hands all the time, that I didn't have to constantly worry about making a mistake or doing something that was not in the best interest of my patient, even accidentally. And just having to be in that hypervigilant state all the time, always on, always waiting for that beeper to go off, always worried about what the traffic is going to be like trying to get to the hospital. How bad is this patient going to be? Are we going to be able to save this patient? Am I going to have enough help? Sometimes being called in at 2 o'clock in the morning for a heart attack in the cath lab, there's only the nurse, the doctor, the radiology tech who is running the table, and the scrub tech, at least during the time that I was working in the cath lab in the hospital that I was in. I know that later on they added a second circulator in a lot of places to kind of help with that. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's the core group that is there taking care of that patient. And yes, you can call for help if you need to, but a lot of
staff feel very uncomfortable coming into an environment to work or help with something that they're not familiar with, and the cath lab can be a little intimidating for some people. So I'm off topic, so let me get back to it. So I found that as I retired, and I had a lot less demands on my time, on myself, on my body, on my life, on my family. So I had a lot more time to devote to my husband. My kids have left home; they are grown and they have moved away, and I have grandkids, and I see them. We always see them when we can, and we always see them during the summer. But I don't have them to take care of. But I did find myself with a lot of spare time, and my husband was the only person that I could direct that attention to. And I don't know if it happened to you, but I had a big network of friends, fellow colleagues, nurses, people that I worked with that I knew in the medical field. And there was always support there. And those connections stay after you retire, or for me, they stayed for a while. But then you start to lose touch with a lot of people because the driving force is your career and you're working together. And when you're out of the loop on that and you're no longer involved in it, you're um, not always invited to the get-togethers, or you're not invited to the after work things. Definitely not invited to any of the conferences or anything that you were involved in before, and so there's a lot more time on your hands. And you have to be very cognizant of that and think about how you're going to fill the void, how you're going to feel, how are you going to feel all of that dead space. So for me, after I retired, I sort of threw myself into the things that I enjoyed the most. I've always been into fitness and working out and taking care of myself. And I didn't always have time to do that as much or as often as I wanted to when I was working. And so I really jumped into that head on. And I would spend 5 or 6 days a week in the gym. And I love all kinds of fitness. And so I would run. I love hiking. I love riding my bike. I love weight training, lifting weights. I love group fitness classes. I love Zumba, just anything. I tried a lot of new stuff. We had a MMA, mixed martial arts class for women. I tried that. I did CrossFit for a while. So fitness has always been a big part of my life, and I didn't get to indulge in it as much when I was working. So I really threw myself into it, almost to the point to where it became an obsession. And I sort of have an obsessive personality anyhow, because my mom always told me, if there's anything worth doing, it's worth doing full force and to the best of your ability. And you got to be the best, girl. You got to be perfect. So get in there and do the work. I can hear her now. So I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way, but we all have these voices. So I there was a lot less distractions in my life keeping me from doing the things that I wanted to do. And I had a lot more time to myself, and I had a lot more time to hear myself. I could finally hear the voices in my head, because all the chaos and the drama and the hypervigilance was starting to leave me the longer I was retired. And it became a lot very still and very quiet, and I could hear a lot of things creeping into my brain. And if you'll have to tell me if any of this resonates with you, or if you feel these same types of feelings or you have felt them, comment below, because I would love to know that I'm not alone in the way that this brain works sometimes. So anyhow, I found that I had a lot of time to have some really intentional conversations with myself. Like, what do you want to do now? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You get that question a lot in your job. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, you're going to do this and do that and do that. Okay, well, so when you retire, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And so it gives you, can give you pause and make you really think, where am I going to be in 5 years in my retirement? So I had a lot more time to spend with myself, with my husband, which is really great because he retired. He was retired as well, and he was going through the same issues that I was going through. He had a very stressful job, always on the go, traveled a lot, had a lot of responsibility. Um, and he felt some of the same feelings that I was having. And so we had that in common and we could talk about it and really explore those options. We got to spend a lot more time together, doing things together, and that was wonderful. And that did so much for our marriage. It very much enhances your marriage when you have time to spend one on one with your spouse and you're able to do a lot more things together, and he enjoys a lot of the same things I do. We both love working out and fitness, riding our bikes. Like I said, we both love traveling. My husband is an avid reader, and so he can spend all day reading a book or two. And I've never been a reader for pleasure. I read for information. I love research. I love reading studies. I love taking a deep dive into health and wellness and things like that. Um, and so I am more of the I've got to be moving type of thing. Give me a hobby that I can keep moving in. And my husband, he doesn't have to have that. So he plays guitar and he plays in a band and he reads. And those are his hobbies that he does aside from what we do together. And I was starting to struggle because I felt like I didn't have anything to do aside from him. Now, I'm very much a homebody in a large way in my life, a big part of my life. I love my home. I appreciate my home. I'm grateful for my home, and I love to take care of it. So I people would call me crazy, but I love to clean. I love to organize. I love to decorate. I love to move things around. And sometimes my husband has to help with that. And he'll say, "You need to get a new hobby because I don't like moving furniture around so much." But anyhow, it's a funny story. But I like to stay up and moving and busy. I like to feel productive. And that's probably some leftover from my years of working. I always felt like I needed to be productive, contributing something, and doing for others. Because nursing, of course, is very nurturing. You very much focus on being a caregiver. And I continued that into my retirement. But I did have to find some things that were just mine. And that was another reason why I wanted to start this YouTube channel. I love to watch YouTube videos. I have some people that I subscribe to that I have followed for 15, 16 years. Oh, I just moved my camera. 15 or 16 years. And I've watched them start from, just a couple of subscribers and grow their channel into an amazing community to for it to sound like, that because not everybody starts out with the intention of having a huge channel. I just wanted to learn the art of filming, the art of talking to a camera, lighting, um, how to do a video, how to post a video, how to use different medias, um, different apps, and different things. I really love photography. And so this kind of fell right into that wheelhouse for me. And so as you get into retirement, you have to think about finding things that are going to still allow you to stay true to the person that you are, that are going to allow you to be very authentic to who you are, and that are going to challenge you and bring you happiness and joy. Now, I have a very good friend, and she is so, so creative. Oh my gosh, she loves crafts and she can do anything she sets her mind to. She crochets, she needle points, She does resin, she does glass, pottery, you name it. If she's got an interest in it, she's going to master it, and she can produce some of the most beautiful things. And I love it and I admire it. And I'm always so thankful when she decides to gift me with one of those creations that she's made. And she taught me how to crochet, and she taught me how to needlepoint. I had cross stitched back in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. So I had done that in my past. And I had also dabbled in some painting, but I just can't find myself sitting still long enough to master anything or feel like I am good enough at it that it's worth continuing. I tend to always stop doing a project halfway through. I always walk away leaving it unfinished because I find that I would much rather be walking, riding my bike, going to the gym, hanging out with friends, going to lunch, going shopping, um, being out in nature, traveling. I would much rather be doing things that keep me moving because that's when I feel my best. I feel best when my body is at move, is at in motion. When my body is in motion, I feel best. So I think we're going to be getting pretty long on this video. So I just want to stop here. I'm looking at my notes to see where we're at. I think that it's time at this point in our life for us to start developing, even before you retire, maybe start developing some hobbies, some activities, and things that you are interested in trying or are interested in taking up once you do retire, and have those plans already made, already be thinking about what that is, maybe already be purchasing some of the things that you want to try and things you want to do, and have those at the ready so that when you get up in the morning and you find yourself lost with nowhere to go, no one to see, and nothing really to do, that you have resources already available that you can pull from that not only keep you busy mentally, but they feed your emotions, they feed your body and your mind and your spirit, that they nourish you in a way that you need to be nourished after you retire. And so I think in the next part, I'd like to start talking a little bit about what that looks like to nourish yourself, nourish your mind, your body, your spirit, and how to reinvent yourself from the person you were working to this new person that you are going to become in retirement. And I hope if that interests you, you will come back for part two. And I really enjoyed kind of researching this and writing notes down and pulling from some experiences that I've had. And I hope that in some way this may have been helpful for you. And if it is, I would appreciate you commenting below if this topic interests you, if you'd like for me to continue with part two, if you would like me to dive into some other areas of retirement, especially like if you enjoy traveling. We have traveled abroad quite a bit, but we find ourselves now retired and traveling in our RV. And the whole reason that we have decided to take that direction with our RV is because we have the most precious 7-year-old standard poodle. His name is Cooper. He's 60 pounds, and he is the joy of our life right now. Of course, our grandkids and our children are too, but if you are a pet owner, you understand what I'm talking about. And we take him with us most everywhere that we can. And so traveling in our RV fit that lifestyle fit for us with Cooper. We have traveled abroad, and we've always had to leave him behind, and it's okay. I'll leave him with my daughter. She lives in Virginia. We'll travel to Virginia and take him there and then fly out of one of the airports up in the DC area. But we always hate leaving him behind. So now we can take him with us in the RV, and he enjoys it so much. And he loves to hike. He loves to get up in the mountains with us. He will go 5, 7, sometimes 10 miles with us, and he would not want to be left behind. He does not want to be left, so he really does enjoy going with us. So that is why we have chosen to take the RV direction. And so if you're interested in any of that content for traveling and RV and how we travel, where we go, the campgrounds we stay in, how we live day to day in our RV, things like that, leave a comment below and I will definitely put together some videos on that. So I hope that this has been enjoyable for you and that you've gotten something out of it. And hope that your day is filled with joy, happiness, and peace, and stillness and calmness, and just, the adventure of going into retirement after 60. So I'll see you next time. Bye bye.